Now since I have an outlet here, I want an outlet right here. That way if I ever put a bidet in or if I need to plug something in by the sink, I'll have access to it. And it needs to be a GFCI, that's ground fault circuit interrupt. In other words, if it gets wet, it's going to trip and it won't electrocute you. So it has to be GFCI. It's going to be right about here. Oops. So the stud is right there. It doesn't feel like there's anything else. So this is a 1-gang box saw attachment by Qbit. Just like that. And you can see what we got. It's just going to cut out a perfect little box. Got some good news. There's nothing right here on this stud, and we are right next to it, so I can throw this box in just like that. All right, this is Romex by Southwire. This is SIMpull, and this is 12.2. This is 14.2. If you're using a 20 amp breaker, you want to use 12.2. If you're using a 15 amp breaker, you want to use 14.2. And so the way you check that, just go out to the breaker box, and if the little switch on there says 20, use this. If it says 15, use this. And the main reason that that's important is because this is a slightly smaller gauge, and if you try to use this on a 20 amp breaker, this will actually heat up before the breaker pops. So it's very important to use this with a 20 amp breaker. Just kind of run that down. There you go. Pull it out right there. So it's kind of hard to see, but there's a screw here and a screw right here. Right, and those are going to go right into the stud, so I'm going to drop it in and then screw those in. But I also need to break open the hole right here so that I can fit the Romex in. There you go. And I can slide this in here. I have plenty of extra. So I'm just going to hold the box where I want it, and I'm going to screw those screws in. Okay, so you want this to be out about 6 inches. So the way you measure that is you put your hand against the wall, pull your thumb out, and that's where you cut it. Before I do that, I'm going to try to stuff it inside this box. So this is the other side. This is where the outlet actually is. So I got the breaker shut off. And make sure that we do not have any voltage. Okay, so I'm happy with that. In the new hole. Okay. Okay, so I want to pull it. I want to have a little slack because I want to have some room in here so that if I ever have to pull some more out, I'll have a little bit of extra. And then I just have to nail this wire down. Oh yeah, it's perfect amount. Okay, cool. And these are cable staples. So by code, the Romex has to be attached to the wall. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Romex, put it between here, then hammer that right into the stud. So ideally you want to have this further away from the wall in case somebody throws a screw in, it might damage this Romex. But just keep that in mind. So this is about where I could put it. But ideally you want to put it closer to the center of the stud. And when you're stripping this jacket, you want to cut right down the center. That way you're only going to be cutting the copper and the ground. Okay. And you can see our other conductors are in perfect condition still. And so I'm going to be installing an outlet. It has to be a GFCI. So this is a 20 amp tamper resistant GFCI, and what that means is that if you splash water on it, it will trip this and then you won't get electrocuted. You can see we've got the line and the load. The wires we're plugging in are going to be the line, and that's going to supply power to it. If we also want to put other outlets on the circuit so they also trip by this GFCI, you would put it on the load side. So line, load. And I'm going to strip about 1 inch. So the gold gets the black, the silver gets the white, and then the ground is the green. And you want to put that in so that the screw grabs it clockwise. Nice and tight. And have a good connection to the ground. And the black. Now I'm going to just kind of bend it down and then up and do that over and over. And I'm just going to throw on the plate. Okay. We got the ground on the bottom. See this up. Tie this one in. So the grounds are good. Good and tight everywhere. Now I'm just going to try to bend it similar to how they had it and shove it back in the box. And I can put this guy back on. Alright, so we got power as soon as we turn this breaker back on. So this is a GFCI receptacle tester, and this is a super fancy one. You don't need anything quite this fancy. So I'm going to reset it. There we go. We got the green light saying that there should be power. Alright, we're good there. And we're good there. And what makes this one kind of cool is it actually reads what the voltage is. So I'm getting 122 volts AC. Now I'm going to test it. Popped it. All good. And it actually, that was cool. I didn't know it did that. So it actually said that it was a 0.7 second trip. So it took 0.7 seconds for this thing to pop. That one was, 0.06 seconds. So a very short period of time. So that's kind of cool. This is, that'll tell you a lot more information than you ever need, but kind of cool that it does it.